Today's episode is presented by Fender Guitars, makers of fine guitars such as the JA90 Jim Adkins Signature Telecaster. The model that you can buy in stores is identical to what I play and have played for maybe 11 years now. 12 years, geez. Except, of course, I put gauge 13 strings on. That's an aftermarket thing. Rockin'. Today I'm talking with Mark Hoppus. I'm chopping it up with Hoppus. Mark has a gig working in... What the f*** does Mark do? Mark and his band Blink-182 have always been kind to us. They've always championed us, evangelized the gospel of Jimmy Eat World to whoever would listen, and for that we're very grateful. I thought it'd be fun to get Mark's perspective on his craft. My conversation with Mark happened on June 1st of 2020. Well, we made it, finally.
We're here, finally.
We're here, we're doing it. Awesome. Thanks a lot for taking the time to hang out with me today.
Always good to see you.
It's nice to see people.
Yes.
People are good. It's always nice. I just got these. This is my new look.
Oh, I got these a couple years ago. They make all the difference. I love it.
But it's weird because like the more I wear these, the more I think my eyes want to wear them.
Yeah.
So it's like the muscle, they get like relaxed and like, I can see things. And then I take them off and it's like I feel super blind.
Yeah.
Now.
As soon as I got my glasses, my eyes just went to shit. They did for real. Like they actually got worse.
Yeah.
Because your eyes, and they told me this, your eyes are going to adjust to the glasses and they'll get used to that. And then you'll need to once you start the glasses, it's kind of a race downhill after that.
It's like the urban legend that you gotta, when you start shaving, then it grows in twice as fast, and then you gotta hold off. And that's why like 17-year-olds have like the worst mustaches ever because they're trying to. No, that's because they're trying to buy beer. They're trying to look older so they can buy beer.
Exactly.
Not because they're holding off
your
on
little
shaving.
peachy thing here is not convincing me you're 21.
No. Man. So is that your dojo there?
I'm in my studio right now. And we've done work here and I love it. It's my little escape.
Nice. I've been able to go from my house to my car to here to my car to home, and I don't really run into anyone.
Right.
So it's kind of like and this is sort of what I would do anyway. It's just that someone pushed the fast forward button a year.
Yeah.
from where we were at in our like whole cycle of things.
So you guys recording?
Always doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not always that things get fleshed out into what would be a song.
Yeah.
There's like tons of scraps, tons of ideas for things, and it's kind of frustrating for the other guys because I will just label them as dates. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I'll open up a Pro Tools session and I'll 6/1/20.
Yeah.
Like here I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to pick up my guitar, or I'll sit down behind the drums, or I'll make a tempo at random and plug in a keyboard.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so like, I'm like, hey guys, check out here's some rough ideas I've been working on. And it's just like, it looks like an Aphex Twin album because this is all like the most like random like numbers for ideas. So it's like, we're trying to like debate about like what songs we work on, and it's just frustrating for everybody trying to remember what numbers match up with what vibe of an idea. Because I hesitate to title things because then it ends up like kind of biasing. Biasing, is that a word?
I think so.
It creates a bias towards like what you want to turn it into in a way. And then sometimes that temporary name is just what stays.
Punk Rock Song 3.
Exactly. I actually have a whole series of ideas that were like rock song.
Yeah.
Rock song 11.
Uh-huh.
Rock song 1. And sometimes sometimes it stays until we're mastering, and I like, okay, dude, it's time. It needs a real title. And I have some friends that go out of their way just to make their working titles like the most foul things they can think of, so they have to change it. You know? Yeah, so I thought that like at first I would just dive in. It seemed like I was pretty motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And I just dove in. I was like, this is familiar. I know what to do, so I just started working on stuff, and I like got like maybe a week and a half into it, and then started losing steam exponentially in a way. And that's when I got the idea to do this, like talk to people I know and kind of pick their brain on songwriting and like just their experience with a creative process in general, because that's something, I'm fascinated by it. Everyone has a different way of working. Musicians, producers, collaborators, everybody has a different way and different skill set and different like things that they bring in. And, from my own experience working with like producers and other people, it just adds to your wealth of knowledge when you run into a puzzle later on. You kind of summon the knowledge of like this, you kind of invoke the spirit of all those people you've worked with, and like kind of think like, how would they, okay, what would Trombino do right now? Or like,
Right.
what would Gil Norton do right now? Like, I don't, and then you have that, oh yeah, he would do this. Let's try that. And then maybe it leads to something, maybe it doesn't, but like it continues the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pick up stuff like that from, I think like, I don't know exactly how your guys' process works, but I imagine that like you have a kind of wealth of people that you've been around that you can draw upon in a similar way.
Yeah, when Blink was recording with, we worked with Trombino for our first major label album, and he's awesome. He was super cool. We worked with him because you guys had worked with him, and we love the way that your guys' albums sound. And
quit copying us.
What?
Dude, quit copying us,
I
man.
know, sorry. It's very true, though. That's the thing, is so much of Blink-182 is influenced by Jimmy Eat World. Trombino was awesome, but we only worked with him for one album, and it was a very short time. Then we started working with Jerry Finn, and we had time in the studio and an actual budget and things like that. He taught us so much. I learned everything that I know about recording and producing from Jerry Finn. And now we work with John Feldman and a bunch of other producers as well. And it's kind of changed. The process has changed over the years. When we first started out, obviously, we couldn't afford studio time, so we had to have everything written and planned out before we went into the studio, so we could set up the drum kit and you could record every single song on drums, and then go back and do bass and then guitar. And so everything had to be ready when you went in. So we did that on Cheshire Cat, Dude Ranch, pretty much Enema of the State, and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. And then when we got to the Untitled record, we were like, well, we don't have any songs written. We just want to go into a studio and start throwing ideas around and catching things and seeing what happens. And that was a great education for the three of us. We really spent time breaking songs down and doing things weird and taking them back and agonizing over every single element of a song.
Before you started that, did you have like your own, were you kind of messing around with your own space, or were you kind of like,
no, we rented a family's house in San Diego, in Rancho Santa Fe. We rented a family, and literally it was so kind and trusting of them. They just packed up their clothes and left everything. There's like pictures of the family on the walls. There's their, personal items, photos, like, it was just like we'd broken into somebody's house and set up a studio there. We moved in a desk and a Studer machine and like everything. We moved in racks and racks of outboard gear. We were there for 6 months. Then when our lease was up there, we moved to another studio and then another studio in San Diego, and then ended up in Conway in LA for a number of months. The record took us a year to write and ended up costing like $1 million, which was not unheard of back then, but is just ridiculous now. But I learned a lot from that. Just kind of after that, for like neighborhoods and stuff, we would just work out of our own spaces. And again, we're going in with no songs written and just kind of writing in a day. Like now that we work with John Feldman and other producers like that, we'll go in and be like, all right, pick up a guitar. How about just kind of noodle with other people in the room? Like, oh, that sounds cool. Let's take that. okay, let's write a chorus, and then we kind of just structure a song like that.
I know that feeling. It's like we'll be in band practice because we're rehearsing for a tour or something, and then Rick will just be like, he won't even be paying attention to what he's doing, and he'll play something, and in my mind I'll be thinking of like a counterpart to that will just jump in my head. I'm like, dude, wait, do that again.
Right.
And then like, hopefully he remembers what he was doing and he can do it again so I can record it real quick and then get my idea down.
Uh-huh.
It's a real sort of like tricky balance of being present and then also like getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
To let the ideas flow, because you need to be present so you can respond to the stimuli, to the other music that's coming in. But you have to be out of your own way. So like the self-censorship doesn't inhibit the exploration of whatever idea it is you're trying to develop.
Yeah, entirely. That's the biggest problem for me, is getting out of my own way and trying to silence the voice that's always telling me, you suck at this, you don't write good songs, your lyrics are shitty, like all those like things that are in your head going, no, this song will never work, just stop, let's just call it. So for me, the process starts, hey, that's a cool idea, let's follow that. Wait, is that a good idea? Oh my God, this idea sucks. Oh wait, there's something cool in there. Oh wait, I really like this. I love this song, and then wake up the next day and do it all again.
Yeah. I think if you're not experiencing some level of crippling self-doubt, you're just not doing it right.
Yeah. So do you have a lot of notes? Do you have a lot of voice notes?
Yeah, I use voice notes all the time.
Uh-huh.
And, sometimes I have no idea what it is I'm humming and snapping to. The rest of the symphony is elusive.
Yeah.
When I
yeah.
Like, what was it?
I know.
I got out of bed at 3 a.m. because I had to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Sweetness was a song actually that I got out of bed for and had to like document, because it just sort of jumped in my mind, the idea of like the melody for the chorus, or the na 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 na. Mm-hmm. Just like that too. It's funny how different ways of connecting the dots produces a reward in your mind, and then you're chasing that again.
Yeah,
in a way, like sometimes I wonder about like whole life kind of things in a weird way.
What do you mean?
Like you're like you experience something, like songwriters who feel like they have to be miserable to create something.
Oh, right.
Here's this thing that's obviously, you're experiencing something obviously not healthy, but you explore it, you produce art gets validation. Okay, that's a reward. Maybe I need to be miserable to keep, maybe how do I know? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that was sort of an interesting thing for me, because like when I was 36, I made a decision to kind of like do some work on myself. Mm-hmm. and change things. And then,
what did you want to change? Can I ask what you wanted to change?
Well, I wanted to quit drinking for one. And, that led to a whole series of other things to change. Uh-huh. But basically kind of reframing that reward structure in my head to be, to find a sustainable way to achieve that, rather than like searching for calamity to produce it.
Right.
And, I like where I am now for sure. Are people even aware of that reward process?
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird being an artist because, speaking to what you were saying, you have to be fucked up enough to say things in a new way that is familiar to people to connect with, but not so fucked up that you can't function.
Yeah. Not so completely off the rails that you're going to alienate everybody in your social world and your family. And
yeah, I think that all artists have their demons and you have to address them but not be consumed by them. So it's like this weird dance of like looking into yourself and finding the things that are troubling you or inspiring you or making you happy even, or whatever it is that you want to say, and dancing with those demons but not marrying them. Yeah.
Trying to be an observer, like, you're a reporter instead of like an active combatant.
Yes.
Kind of, you're a war correspondent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you guys engineer your own stuff?
A lot of the time.
Uh-huh.
A lot of time we do. I mean, if we're doing something that we know is like serious, then we'll bring in an outside engineer. Like I feel pretty confident that we could work here on our own and make an album. But if we know that we're making an album, we'll definitely like bring somebody in to kind of take a little bit of that pressure off. Because I don't really like having to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
You know, because like as much, I mean, you know, I sort of can't help myself though. Like I'll have to jump in and kind of drive.
Yeah.
Because like I think that like from working on my own and making demos here, like I just think that way. Like production is kind of a part of writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's like everything that you're choosing is a response to what you've just heard.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the option to do crazy things that aren't, you know, like a performance, but they're effects, that sort of like opens up doors creatively to try.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love like buying a new effect pedal or a new plugin or something and seeing what it does on a guitar line or on a bass line or on a vocal and going, oh shit, that's really cool. When we were recording the Untitled record, the first single off of that was a song called Feeling This. And at the end, there's like this, I don't know, 6-part harmony with different calls and responses. And that was just totally a happy accident in the studio where we were getting to the end of the song and we were composing it and trying to figure out the different sections and stuff. And our engineer accidentally automated a fade on everything but left off the vocals. And so all the music faded out and the vocals were still doing this like harmony thing. And we were like, oh, that's really cool. Let's expand on that. I think that half a recording is just keeping yourself open to that happy accident, whatever it is.
No, definitely. It's like your best idea, your most thought out plan for what you want to do with this thing that your vision is really just a rough outline.
Yeah.
If you're holding on to that too tightly, like you're missing out on the happy accidents that could come in and take it somewhere new.
Mm-hmm.
That's an enemy of a lot of progress for me, especially with like lyric writing. You have this thing you want to do, but you're just, you know, you'll never get close to that if you're self-censoring to try to drive toward that too tightly.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to kind of let in the what you know is a bad line. You know, like, this will never work, but I'm going to write it down anyway.
Yeah.
And then that leads to somewhere. And then after a while, maybe the song isn't about what you thought it was about, but it's okay because it goes to somewhere that you can connect with too on a different level, maybe.
When you start writing a song, do you say this song is going to be about whatever, this breakup or this moment, and then write a song about that? Or do you just do word salad?
Sometimes it's rare that I'll have like a fully formed thing. This is going to be about this specific thing, and then it ends up there.
Right.
It's always along the journey of exploring and kind of letting in some tangent things. I usually draw in things that are related to that, or maybe like other experiences that produce the same sort of emotional core feeling.
Okay.
But it's rare something is about one thing and stays one thing. Here, hold on one second. I just I'm borrowing my friend's camera. That's really awesome.
Oh, dope.
They have to put a limit on how much you can record video at one time. Otherwise, they got to call it a camcorder, and camcorder is like fanny pack.
Right.
No one wants that.
Yeah.
No one really wants that. Have you ever come up with something that's like, this is this, and this is exactly this, and then you end up there, and it was that?
Well, yeah, some songs like Damn It was like that. All the Small Things was like that. Rock Show was like that. Adam's Song was like that. But those were all the albums that we went in and were like, okay, these are the songs. We just need to go into the studio and record them. Once we got into the studio and we're like, once we got into the studio, we were like, let's just go in and create. Then things started growing all kinds of things, growing all kinds of directions. I don't know. Felt a lot more organic, a lot more fun, a lot more experimental. I don't know. I like recording how we record now, where you're kind of writing, recording, demoing, but you're not really demoing because the recording technology is so great now that you basically record keeper takes anyway. And we're all fortunate enough to have gear that records at studio quality. So yeah, I like how we write and record now. Everything feels very collaborative and cooperative, and it's about just capturing that energy or that thought or that thing at that moment, rather than we have 2 hours and I need to record 4 songs on bass. So that's about 15 minutes for each song, and I just need to nail my parts, you know?
Yeah. I know. That can be like pretty miserable when you're on like one stupid thing and you're having just the hardest time with the thing that you know is like really easy, and just the shame spiral just takes you out of your game.
Oh, totally. It's awful. I remember we were recording the Untitled record, and there's a song called Astenia, and there's just one bass line, and it's literally like a hammer onto the 5th fret, a hammer onto the 7th fret, and then a hammer onto the 2nd fret. And it's super basic, so easy, and it took me hours and hours and hours to get it. And I don't know why. It was just one of those things where I was just stuck in my head and wasn't able to get it, and it was just wasting everyone's time, and it sucked. I remember it now, even whatever it is, more than 15 years later.
Yeah, it's like two rehearsal passes go by while the engineer's getting the sound.
Yeah.
and then you're going for a real, and those you feel like you nailed. Yeah. Then it's time to record for real, because they're not changing anything anymore.
Uh-huh.
And then like the tape stops and the engineers or the producer's like, "Oh, let's just try that again."
Yeah.
And it starts off innocently. And then after a while it's like, "Well, what am I doing wrong?" And then after like 4 more takes like that, you just start doubting everything.
You start getting mad at the engineer and the producer. It's like when somebody tells you got something on your face. You got something on your face. Got it? No, it's still there. You got it? No, it's still there. Got it? No, it's still there. What do you want me to do? I can't get it off my face. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think part of a huge part of collaboration is providing actionable feedback.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's like, you can't just say, "No, you didn't get it." You got to say, "No, it's about an inch lower than your nose, and maybe try the back of your hand instead of like this."
Yeah.
Because this isn't working.
Yeah, I always get frustrated when I'm cutting vocals, and I'm like, is it timing? Is it pitch? Is it whatever?
Recording and working with producers has taught me so much about like just basic kind of communication in general. Like working with producers, like they might come with a suggestion for something, and you might really disagree with the suggestion. Like the song doesn't need what you're saying. Like, you know, you got to stop and think about like, okay, what's behind the suggestion? Maybe it needs a hook of some kind.
Yeah.
Maybe the part needs to be shorter. Maybe the dynamics aren't doing what you think they are. And there's usually a way that you can find your way to do it that isn't the producer's. And it's also something you would never have thought of on your own if you weren't willing to let that in.
Yeah. I love that moment when somebody suggests something, you're like, I don't think so. And then you do it, and it's like, fuck, you're right. That's exactly what that song needed. I was actually working with a producer for a song for somebody else like 2 days before the quarantine started. And the producer was like, and I really appreciated it. He goes, "I feel like this song needs something." And I was literally holding a guitar. And he goes, "I feel like this song needs something like a lead in this area right here, in this area of the neck right here." And I go, "Oh, okay, cool." And I could write something like that. Or I feel like there's not enough low end information, and we kind of need to bulk up the low end. I can understand what that means, you know? And the other thing about being a producer is a producer's kind of like a psychologist or something. You have to understand what each person in a band needs to get the best performance out of them, you know? And Jerry was always like that with Blink. He knew how to get the best out of Travis, the best out of Tom, the best out of me. And it was vastly different approaches to do that. Travis needs, this is what I expect of you, or this is what this song needs of you, is going maybe a little less, technical in this section of the song, maybe pick it up in this section of the song. Travis goes, "Cool, I got that." And Tom needs more time to be like experimental and, grab things and look at them and try stuff. And I just need like, you're ahead, you're behind, watch this, that kind of stuff. So a good producer can get like the best out of everybody in the band.
I don't think that just because you're an excellent musician, that means you can be a producer.
No, not at all.
Or an excellent engineer.
No.
Some people, like, it's definitely its own skill. You could have no engineering chops at all. Well, maybe that's not true. You need some engineering language to communicate.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a good producer if you're like, Pro Tools certified.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, there are many virtuoso guitarists that can, do double finger tap and play all kinds of technical and scales and everything, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you write a great song. That's what I tell myself because I'm a terrible guitarist.
Hey, don't worry about it.
I don't need technique.
That's true. That's true though. Like when I started playing guitar, I was really into like the virtuoso people because, I just thought of like shredding as like the goal.
Yeah.
But I pretty quickly learned that I'm not going to be a player like that. Like, I'm just not. Like, I'm not going to be Steve Vai.
Right.
I'm not going to be Joe Satriani.
Are you shreddy, though? Can you get shreddy?
No.
No, not at all?
No,
Okay.
I can't get shreddy. No, like...
Got it.
For a minute there, I bought like one of those diamond picks with like a cone at the end of it, so I could do tremolo picking really fast because I thought like that was cool. I mean, it's cool. I'm not dissing anybody who's dedicated themselves to 64th note sweeps,
right?
But I'm just not going to be that kind of a player. I just don't. I just don't. So right. It's like I accepted that, and then I started thinking about like, what can I do? And then I just really started focusing on like, like simpler kind of things. Like trying to chase that was much more rewarding than trying to chase, shredding.
Yeah.
It would be pretty rad to shred though.
It'd be really cool if just during one of your sets, you just did the gnarliest shreddy guitar solo and then went right back into a song like nothing else happened.
That would be kind of cool. Maybe I have a whole lot of time now. I can, work that in.
I feel like as artists and as musicians, we're kind of used to this kind of life where you're in this microcosm bubble. I mean, even when you're on tour with, however many people are on your crew and like a tour is really like this traveling little bubble. And when you're in a studio, you're obviously, locked in a room. So I feel like we are better prepared for this long period, but just not being able to do anything. Not that I would normally, but it's awful. It sucks. I hate this whole thing. I hate it all. I hate it for everybody. I mean, it's, and I'm the fucking luckiest dude in the world that, touch wood, I'm healthy and with my family and we're safe and, we're not worrying about where our next meal is going to come from. So it's fucking terrible. It's awful. I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, my problems aren't problems.
Yeah. But like the worst for me is an inconvenience that I can't go somewhere and have somebody make me a coffee. So I'm pretty fucking lucky and pretty okay.
I think you have to look at the opportunities instead of like what's been taken away. Otherwise, you're going to go insane.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This whole thing has sort of accelerated a trend that's been building up anyway, in that if your creative project doesn't have some kind of video element, it's almost like it doesn't exist.
Right.
Because like, when was the last time you shared a music link, like a SoundCloud, compared to something that had a video element to it? Even if it's a lyric video for something, you're way more likely to say, hey man, check this out to your friends that you might think like it than like a SoundCloud link.
Yeah. True.
Trying to, and that's kind of another reason I wanted to do this, is sort of brush up on video chops, because I don't, I don't really know much about it. So let's try to do that. A whole nother way to be creative.
Yeah. My son's graduating high school this month, and the school asked me if I would, They, because they can't have a normal graduation, they can't have a grad night, they can't have a prom, they can't have the thing at school where they all jump into the pool at the end of the last day of school. So they asked me to perform a song. So I recorded it here in the studio with video and was trying to edit multiple like angles and things like that. I mean, it sucked by video editing. Just like, it's terrible. And it's really just like, my wife holding a phone and then my iPad sat on the desk filming from a different angle. But yeah, you really, gain even more respect for the people who are good at what they do as far as editing and, lighting and camera work and all the stuff. Because when people have to do it themselves, it just looks really homemade.
I can see. Yeah. I mean, it definitely does. Like you think it's not going to be that hard.
Yeah. It's iMovie. It's an Apple thing. You just drag the thing and you drag the thing and it's all good. Nah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because the people that are good at it make it look real easy. That's the thing. And then you dive into it and go, oh, wait a minute, dude, this doesn't look like that.
I know.
Why doesn't this look like that?
Have you gained any new skills during quarantine? Have you I don't know. Did you write the Great American Novel? Did you write King Lear?
I've done a bunch of stuff basically to avoid writing lyrics for things.
Okay.
That's kind of how all my other hobbies come into being, is because I'm stuck on something and I'm trying to get the music thing jump started by diving into like making sourdough from scratch. Mm-hmm. Which I've kind of cracked the code on, I gotta say. So
really?
That's sort of fun. Yeah. Even my kids are into what I'm making, so that's a good thing. Did your kids take to anything musical? Did you
Not at all. My son loves music. He listens to all different kinds of music. He loves video games. I mean, it's really like what he loves in the world, and what he wants to do when he goes to college is study technology where it intersects medicine and music.
See, that's rad. That's really cool. It's like I made my kids take piano lessons. Mm-hmm. Because I thought, like, this is what I did. You're gonna do this too. But then, like, there's a point where it's got to be their idea.
Yeah.
It's like it's not gonna stick unless it's their idea. Like, all right, you got to have a thing. Doesn't have to be my thing, but you got to get a thing.
Right.
Maybe later in life you come back to it. That's okay.
Yeah, totally. With our son, we are always like, we're going to put all these different opportunities in front of you, and whatever you latch onto, whatever you enjoy is what we will support.
I think it definitely takes a certain type of person to really dive into the music thing. Mm-hmm. You have to get that. You have to have that reward in your head of incremental progress.
Yeah.
Like some kids will just go shoot free throws by themselves for 2 hours. It really takes like that mentality of, I am cool with, the 2 hour training run where no one's clapping.
Yeah.
It's because like to get to the place that is the half marathon or marathon or whatever.
That's the hardest part for me. Like for me personally, I want to become a painter. I wish that I knew how to paint, and I just can't get over that first, whatever it is, 9,999 hours before I'm good at it,
Man, visual arts like painting or drawing even, like I feel like just such a fraud.
Yeah.
Anytime I try to do that, it's like, I would love to. I used to work at an art supply store.
Oh, really?
When the band was like still like not doing much.
Uh-huh.
And so I was around that world. Like I did photography growing up, but like the painting, sketching, like that's like a black magic to me.
Totally.
They could summon the powers and harness it in your hand and create something realistic that way.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I mean, I'm definitely, I have respect for people who do that because I've tried it and I suck.
You ever had somebody come to you at like a meet and greet and say like, will you draw something for me to get tattooed?
Not draw something, but definitely write like lyrics.
Oh yeah, that too. But I've had people come up and say like, will you draw something? And I'll be like, I suck at drawing. I'll be like, I don't care. What do you want me to draw? Can you draw a slice of pizza? And it's like a fucking triangle with a rough, arc on one side with some circles for pepperoni. And people have gotten that tattooed. I'm like, man, I wish I was good at this. So you wouldn't have to be ashamed of my drawing for the rest of your life.
My handwriting looks like a serial killer. for real, I'm not kidding. And I
you
remember,
should put the little, like, whatever that symbol for the zodiac was at the end of the lyrics.
It's not far off from that, but like I've told this to people, like, will you write this line from like 23? I'm gonna get it tattooed on my arm. I'm like, dude, my handwriting is horrible.
Right?
You do not want. No, I seriously, I don't care. It's my favorite song. I'm like, no, it's really bad. I don't care. So like, all right, I write it. And then I hand it to them. They look at it for a second. They don't say anything. Like, oh, I told you it's
Show me a piece
horrible.
of paper in your studio with a handwriting on it.
Well, I mean, it's like that kind of.
Oh, that's not bad.
I don't know.
That's not bad. I'll show you mine. We can compare. I'll show you. I was writing lyrics for something. Here's me.
Oh, that's not bad. You are your own worst critic always, I guess.
Nah, it's always the comments on Twitter that are the worst critics.
Yeah, no, the comments on Twitter will one up your anything you could say to yourself. That's
totally.
For sure.
I look at Twitter, I'm like, you're fucking right, buddy. You nailed that one.
It's even more important with the communication between fans and you to be proud of what you're doing before you put it out there, because some people are really going to not like what you do.
Yeah.
Or they might not even care what you do, but like they feel important by demeaning it. And it's not just you. It's like anything that they've kind of woken up and decided that they're going to be a victim.
Oh yeah.
And everybody else around them is going to pay for that.
You can't live in the Twitter comment section for sure. And our whole thing is that we've always done music that we love, that means something to us, and that's always served us the best, rather than trying to be like, okay, what do people think a Blink-182 song should sound like? Let's write a Blink-182 song. We just write music, and by definition, that's a Blink-182 song. And if we like it, then that means it's a Blink song, and we just go from there.
I've always thought that the when you feel like you have a pretty firm grasp on your identity, it's then you're not doing enough to push yourself. I don't think I've written a Jimmy World song since like 97. Everything, because like once you start doing that, then you like I said before, you start limit what it can be, and you limit yourself.
Right.
Like I think if you're not laughing a little bit, you're not ready. It's not a good idea. Like if you're not like kind of like struggling a little bit with like, is this me?
Yeah.
Then you're not on the right track.
Yeah, for sure. Incremental improvement.
Yeah, incremental improvement. Because if you're not like, what's the point? Like the worst thing you can do, I think, is worse than making something that sucks and throwing it away is making something that's like, yep, that's us. That's exactly what we do.
And putting that out.
Because then, I mean, you have that already.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what's next for you, man? Just kind of working on material?
I was working on a new song with John Feldman last week that I'll probably be working on after I get off with you here in a minute. We've been using actually Pro Tools Collaborate, where he opens it up in his studio. I can open it up in my studio, and then we get on like a FaceTime call. And I got my microphone here that I can sing into, and I got my bass and my guitars and stuff, and I'll record it in, and 3 seconds later it pops up on his session in at his studio. And then so the other day I tracked bass, I tracked 6 different vocal options, and then he can sit there and comp things together and work on stuff. And okay, well, we still don't have the second half of the first chorus, so I want you to go back and re-sing that. So it's actually been able to work pretty much like it's in the studio, but be 50 minutes away from each other.
That's cool. I had no idea that that was an option.
I think that it's been around for a long time. It's the first time we tried to use it, and neither of us know exactly what we're doing. So there have been times where I would do like 5 takes of a verse, and I would go to like send it to him, and there would be a conflicting sync issue, and so it would like delete the 5 takes that I just did. So I would just have to re-sing it.
No.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I'm sure that it's great. We just haven't figured out how it works exactly yet.
It's funny when you realize you're kind of on, like, we are the demographic for this thing.
Yeah.
And there's no one's telling us what we're supposed to do.
No.
And it's just kind of like when you realize you're sort of out on the edge, it's kind of exciting, like, wait a minute, who's doing this right now? Like I always think there's somebody smarter who's got this down.
Yeah.
And
there are
there
smart people who know what they're doing and how to make it work. I'm just not one of those people.
I think those are the shredder people, though.
Totally. That's it.
Like,
and I'm so in awe. Like, I mean, being a great engineer, especially on Pro Tools, is such an art. Like to edit and to be able to know all the shortcuts and be doing this and have your keystrokes and shortcuts memorized and not even have to look at the keyboard and have your mouse all set up. It's incredible. And it's something that, I'm such a Luddite. I'm like, okay, do I record enable this track? Okay, there's the thing. Okay, that's good to go.
What I push? Where's my grid?
Yeah.
What I push? Where's the grid?
Totally.
I hate that one.
Yeah, I have a lot to learn about engineering, but I'm getting better. I mean, it's the 10,000 hours thing again.
I'm really fortunate. Like watching Trombino work, like really taught me like what's possible. Because I would see him, he'd even in like 99, he was that guy that was just like, and like, then it happens.
Yeah.
And then I just had to figure out what the path of that was.
Yeah. You guys were really the first, and Trombino was one of the first to really like integrate Pro Tools into recording of like emo kind of punk rock music. We were working with Jerry Finn, and he was still really adamant about all analog, everything to tape, everything to whatever. And you guys were recording like Goodbye Sky Harbor and going off on 16-minute electronic, like weird, and that was really groundbreaking. That fucking blew my mind when I heard that. So, I mean, you guys were on the very forefront of that. So it makes sense that Trombino would be so good at it.
Yeah, it's kind of the Wild West out there.
I like it. I like how ubiquitous recording equipment is, and I like how easy it is for a kid in a garage to have a laptop and open GarageBand and make kick-ass music and not have that barrier of like, oh, you want to record something? Well, it's going to cost you $5,000 and you're going to have 3 days in the studio. When now you can, buy a laptop and have pretty much everything you need to get some good recordings going.
Yeah, if you can imagine it, you can get really close to hearing your idea with only a minimal amount of technical experience.
Totally.
I'll be curious to see what comes out of this whole time where people are sort of like locked in their rooms with the creative things.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get yourself into a healthy kind of mental space to create something, I think there's going to be a lot of good work.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, thank you so much for hanging out and
nice talking to you always.
Mark.
Totally. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you very soon.
And once again, thanks a lot to Mark Hoppus for hanging out with me and chatting. I hope you guys like that. I guess this would be the part where I would plug something that Mark's got going on, but if you have this, you also have the internet, and you can probably figure out for yourself what he's up to. And I'll see you again soon. This is the part where I walk out of frame.